So I go to school in New York, the state, not the city. And snow is a pretty common thing that happens here, especially for some reason in February 2014. Snow happened all over the country this winter season, and Binghamton was no exception. But the thing with snow is that it melts. This is what it looked like just a few weeks ago, and here's what it looks like now. The other thing with snow is that it's only white for the first 24 hours or so. Then the plows come, and on a campus especially with foot traffic and other cars and everything, it starts to look like this. Everywhere. At a time like this, when the snow is all gray and melting, and the sky is gray and Binghamton-y, and all the people walk with their heads tucked into their chests to stay warm and to keep their exposure to whatever weather might be falling from the sky to a minimum, it's very tempting to say, I can't wait for spring, when the sun comes out and everything is green and blossoming and actually pretty. I'm an English major, both on paper and in practice, so I've been taught to clearly state my argument. And my argument is that gray does not equal ugly, and that there is beauty even on a gross, gray Sunday morning when I took this walk around campus. Sunday mornings are one of the many reasons I'm so thankful to live on campus. They're my favorite times to take a walk, because very few people are out on Sunday mornings, and I can just look. Also, it's much less awkward to carry an iPhone in a way that makes it obvious that I'm recording when there are less people around.
It was actually kind of peaceful.
I'm not a scenic person, really. I generally brush past views other people call impressive. My boyfriend will attest to this. He's the one who can look off a mountain for hours admiring the view. That just doesn't make sense to me. The only thing that really wows me about nature is the clouds. I'm a big fan of clouds. All hail the glow cloud and all that. What I do love, though, is people. People watching or admiring the things that people have made and stuff like that. So when I come to a view like this, it's not the fact that the campus overlooks an admittedly beautiful view of adjacent mountains and valleys and such that makes me stop. On non-gray days, it's usually the cloud patterns, but on a day like this one, it's the simple contrast of the red brick against the gray sky and the wood sculpture and the black stone fountain and the evergreen trees that's just astonishing. This stretch of ground here, between the lecture hall, the library, the fine arts building, and the bookstore, is one of my favorites on campus. During the school week, between classes, this place is flooded with students. But on an early Saturday morning, the stark emptiness is somehow poetic. What it says, though, is something I haven't quite figured out yet. Another one of my favorites on this walk is what I've heard referred to as the Stalinesque structure right between the library, the computer center, and the engineering building. I'm not quite sure why it sticks out so much in my mind, but I have a theory that it's because it doesn't really serve any purpose on this campus. Everything else has its function between the buildings and the benches and the stairs and every other construction here, but the Stalinesque structure is just there for aesthetics. And I think it's beautiful. I didn't get great footage of it, but if you want a better idea of what it looks like, I participated in a flash mob symphony in April 2013, and the Stalinesque structure was one of our many stops. That video also shows Binghamton in the spring, if you wanted a good idea of what the sun and the blooming green stuff and the walkway filled with students looks like here. I know a lot of people who say they love this campus despite the constant cold and wind and gray and the gross melting snow. But I'm saying I love it because of the cold and wind and gray and melting snow. That's not to say that I don't sometimes wish for the sun to come out or for it to stop raining and or snowing, but I'm saying that I will never count this place out because it is gross and wet and cold and gray out. Those kinds of days happen here a lot in Binghamton. Unfortunately, the reason I left my room in the first place that early Sunday morning, despite to film, was to get into a building that hadn't opened yet, so it seemed like the walk was totally unnecessary. But I never discount the time I get to spend on this campus, especially during those quiet Sunday mornings when there's nobody else around and it's all cold and gray and beautiful out. Hey, so as an aside, I was just editing this video and I was thinking about aesthetics and mostly about words as an English major, and I was thinking about how I always spell gray with an E because it looks prettier. And I was thinking about, kind of in relation to the Stalinesque structure, how it doesn't really serve a purpose to spell it with an E as opposed to an A, but it just looks pretty. Also, if you were interested, there's a video of the Flash Mob Symphony. There should be a link down below. I'm in it. I'm the viola player in the yellow shirt. You don't need to watch to the end because I do an interview and it's really embarrassing and kind of awkward. I mean, you can because David, the composer, is also in the interview and he is amazing. But you don't need to, you don't need to watch me. All right, that's all. Leave me your thoughts in the comments because apparently that's what YouTubers do. And yeah, thanks.